This is the long-awaited list that has been released through news agencies. It comes from Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain and Egypt. They say Qatar must comply with the demands. They include downgrading ties with Iran, severing ties with Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood and the Taliban, and stop the funding of what they describe as extremist groups. Qatar has always strenuously denied any such funding and say the allegations are motivated purely for political reasons. Diplomatic sources in Paris have called for unity among Gulf nations, but said the French government is still studying the list. Boris Johnson, the British Foreign Secretary, has issued a statement calling for an easing of tensions. He said Gulf unity can only be restored when all countries involved are willing to discuss the demands that are measured and realistic. Qatar has been given 10 days to comply with the demands of the four countries, or the economic and transport embargo that began on June the 5th will continue.
The Secretary has been really very clear with all the parties about this. If you're going to ask Qatar to do something and to do something differently, it has to be something that they are actually capable of doing. It has to be reasonable and actionable. All of the parties have to get together and work this thing out.
The US has strong ties with Gulf nations. It has its largest Middle East base in Qatar, which has raised no objections with Saudi Arabia and its allies. They are, however, demanding that Qatar closes Turkey's military base in the country. Turkey's defence minister says that is out of the question.
Even if there is such a demand, I haven't seen it. But it would mean interference with bilateral relations because the military base in Qatar is a Turkish base to ensure both the security of Qatar and that of the region.
Another of the 13 demands is said to be that Al Jazeera English and the rest of the Al Jazeera network, which is based in Doha, should be closed down because it is accused of destabilising the region. The Qatar government has not yet officially responded to the list, but the Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman has repeatedly said Qatar rejects any demands that violate its sovereignty. The National Human Rights Committee in Qatar said on Friday that the demands are related to massive human rights violations and the lifting of the blockade should not be subjected to conditions. The United States and the European Union were hoping that sense would prevail and that all parties would enter meaningful dialogue to resolve the issues. But the Gulf's worst political crisis in decades just seems to have got worse. Tony Bertley, Al Jazeera.